Hello viewers and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 5 game, in which we are trying to conquer the known world with Rome. We were successful so far. We defeated two AI civilizations, the Persians and Babylon, and now we have the whole continent for ourselves. If I was playing this game for myself, I would probably not go for world domination, because having a continent for yourself means quite some turns of building infrastructure, of expansion, and we cannot really influence international politics right now, and we won't be able to do so for a very long time. So once we meet the AIs, their attitude toward us will be based on what they want, since we cannot influence their decisions in any way. We cannot conquer them so easily. We cannot, bribe other AIs into war with them because we don't know who they are yet. So basically the next 150 or so turns we'll probably be building up our empire almost exclusively. I highly doubt it that another AI will invade us in the meantime. So I had like 3 hours of footage describing the next part of my game, in which I literally built cities, built improvements, and built buildings to catch up in tech pace and everything else. And after watching that, I don't find it so appealing. So I'm going to fast forward a bit first, and after that I'm going to fast forward to the industrial era, because really what matters in this game are the conquests. And sure, I will explain a few things that I did while building up my empire and my cities, and tell you why I did so. But this game should really focus on the combat and tactical warfare that you can do in Civilization 5. So I'm going to load another game now. I'm going to fast forward to turn 200, in which we already met some of the AIs, or maybe even most of them, I can't remember, and in which I already did some things I decided it was good to do. For example, I conquered a city-state, the one you already probably know from our previous encounter with Persia, and expanded. Expanded, built science, built production, grew my cities, and so on. This was necessary because when you are isolated from the rest of the world for such a long time, and I think we were isolated for like 170 turns, that's a lot of research agreements going on between other civs, and we were hopelessly backwards in tech. I'll start with our lands first. First, you'll notice I unpuppeted Babylon, and I also unpuppeted Persepolis. I did that after I successfully implemented theocracy and boosted my happiness to very high levels, as you can see still. I unpuppeted Persepolis because it's a really it's a city in a really great spot, and it also has marble, so I decided for Persepolis to be my wonder building city. And I unpuppeted Babylon because it's actually in a really poor position puppet wise, but it's a great city to use as a production city. It has a lot of deer camps, which is basically food and hammers, and it can work a lot of hammer tiles later, like these hills here and these hills here. So I converted these two cities. I also built more cities. I built Ravenna, which will be a commerce city, and I built Neapolis, which will also be a commerce city. I conquered Venice shortly after I killed Babylon, because it's also in a really good position. It had gems, and I wanted to trade away those gems. first use them for myself, and then when I befriended Lhasa, which is a friendly cultural city-state, I had an extra gems resource, so I could sell it away for even more money. One extra happiness resource is worth 9 gold per turn for most of the game, or 300 gold bulk every 30 turns, because that's how much the friendly AIs will give you for it. City-state happiness resources are somewhat less desirable because other city-states tend to share these happiness resources with each other, so Venice and Lhasa and Copenhagen and so on mostly have gems for resources. City-states usually have 2 happiness resources tied to them instead of the map. And we were, growing our cities. We built Kume to a really nice and growing seaport city as well on this ocean. And that's basically it. I was sticking to my Glory of Rome, which means I built most of my buildings first in the capital and then produced them elsewhere. It really sped up growing my infrastructure, and it was really needed because, as I was predicting in my previous video, we couldn't pull off a Renaissance war. We had to go with Industrial Age, and that's because we were the last in most stuff for the most part of the game. We're now first in number of cities, 15 population, 15 active military duty, second in industrial output, which is nice, second in happiness because we really invested into happiness, and we are 5th in literacy or tax. So as you can see, we are behind, we are the last one, the last civ in the number of techs, and this is going to go on for quite some time. And if your technology is backwards and there are very well established AIs in distant parts of the world, like this is the case now, because the AIs are far away, then you are either not going for domination, which is not an option in this game, or you prepare for a very long time, and that's what I did. So let's take a look at our future to be enemies. This is Japan. It's expanding very fast. It's going to be the largest empire in the world in the future. It will also be the strongest in military. It also hates the gods of Egypt, which is here. Egypt is also quite a large empire, and they are doing very well on their own. We have London and York here. This is England, only 2 cities, and I think that stays that way until almost the end of the game. And they also hate us, as always. And this is the Inca who conquered Russia and have a small continent for themselves. And they're the financially most powerful civ in the game and will probably go for UN victory. Both the Incas and Japan hate Egypt, and they actually went to war with each other maybe more than once. But Egypt managed to hold on its own. And as you can see, all the enemy capitals or all the enemy lands are very far away from our continent. It's not like it's a 5 hex gap between 2 continents. They are very far away. So I really need to be ready and prepared for an intercontinental invasion like that. And that's why I'm going to fast forward to yet another point in time, and that's going to be turn 283. That's right, 140 turns passed since we conquered Babylon, and that's how much time it took to actually produce, get to the first, to be the first in tech, to have at least a slight tech lead, so we can attack. It took that much time to build our infrastructure and to build all the units that are required for a industrial era and early modern domination victory. So these 140 turns weren't so exciting as the first 140, and I'm going to skip to that turn in my next video. So this, you can treat this one like an intermezzo, I guess.